Hello, everyone, and welcome to New Consciousness Review. I'm Miriam Knight. Our guest today is John Murphy, an award-winning author, speaker, business consultant, and Zentrepreneur. Drawing on a diverse collection of experience as a corporate director, collegiate football player, spiritual mystic, and management coach, John has written 16 books and advised countless corporate clients on building businesses with presence. His newest book is about leadership and creating a culture of innovation and fearlessness in business, and by extension, in one's life. It is called Zentrepreneur, and I'm so pleased to welcome John Murphy.
Thank you, Miriam. I'm so glad to be here.
John, Zentrepreneur is such an evocative word, and the book builds up layers of understanding of the term. Can you give us a quick definition?
Well, sure. It's really the combination of two words, of course. It's the combination of the word Zen and the practice of Zen. And it's not just about words. It's the practice of being present, of being in the now, of being balanced and holistic and very thoughtful about well-being, positive thinking, and healthy living. And then the practice of entrepreneurship, which is taking those ideas and those thoughts and doing something with them, so making change. Those entrepreneurs take good ideas and act on them. And I've often said I think there's an entrepreneur in all of us. We all have ideas. We all have the ability to act and the capacity to make good change. We don't always listen to ourselves and get out of our own way, but we have the capacity. So, and I also find that Zentrepreneurs relate to the Zentrepreneurs in one another. So we bring out the best in one another, and we experience what I often call Zenergy, this inspirational source of energy that flows when we're working with Zentrepreneurs, because it's like light in the room. Something just feels different, and it inspires us to take action, to take risk, and to make change, not fear it.
Well, indeed, in the current climate, economic climate, I think more and more people are being forced to rely on their own resources and become entrepreneurs, and they would be well advised to become Zentrepreneurs. Let's look at your history. You started out as an all-American boy, a football player in high school and for Notre Dame. Then you entered the corporate world. Now, what turned you on to this spiritual or mystical path?
Well, that's a great question, Marian, because on the surface, people think, oh, you had it all. You were, this all-American boy, as you put it, athletic and scholastic and whatnot. But behind that is a young boy who, I like to kid about this now, but I was born on Friday the 13th. My name is Murphy, as in Murphy's Law. Anything could go wrong, it will. The worst possible time. I had two near-death experiences by the age of 3. We call that the terrible twos, of course, and it probably has something to do with that terminology. I don't know, but I had a lot of hard luck. I was told in high school I'd never play football again because I suffered a very severe foot accident. Had something to do with a lawnmower. And after 10 hours of surgery and a week in the hospital, the doctors all said your football career's over and you'll be lucky to walk again without limping. And, it's those painful moments, it's suffering in life that awakens us sometimes to the silver linings, to the grace that exists, the blessings in disguise, so to speak. And so, on the surface, it looks like, you had it made. You did all these things. You must have been very fortunate growing up. I do believe I'm fortunate, no question about it. But it's the yin and the yang of life, the perfect balance. Every time something tough happens, there's a lesson on the other side of it. Adversity is a great way to learn more about who and what we really are and what we're capable of. So I've been broke. I've had difficulties my whole life in one way or another, and the thing I refuse to do is feel like a victim, feel like well, it's all because I was born on Friday the 13th and my name is Murphy. If anything can go wrong, it will. Because I could have believed that. And there were many times in my life where I actually thought about it, but that wouldn't have done me any good at all. So, like I said, there's a light burning inside all of us. It's our inspiration. It's our being in spirit, our fearlessness. It's our spirit looking for ways to express itself and to be free and to be creative. And we're going to stub our toe once in a while. We're going to take a swing and miss, but that's no excuse to give up or not try again. I know I've had too many times over and over again. So it's all of these experiences, no one experience alone, that's led me on this journey and helped me awaken, so to speak, to the silver linings that are around all of us.
Well, indeed, you talk about the light inside, and I think your whole book is an attempt to kind of blow on that little flame inside each of us and make it burn brightly. What made you decide that the art of Zen was a good addition to the practice of business?
Well, I'm a believer in thinking outside the box. I teach creativity. I use creativity every day to help people innovate. I'm a business consultant, and I'm working with clients all over the world, helping them innovate. Turning ideas into new manifestations, to new experiences that we can all enjoy. And so, in thinking outside the box, I grew up Catholic, and reciting mantras every week, like I'm not worthy, and you couple I'm not worthy with Murphy's Law on Friday the 13th, and pretty soon you're just drawing in potentially a lot of tough breaks. It's the law of attraction. Misery loves company, that kind of thing. So I started to explore, and I don't know, it's maybe just a calling of something. It was just in my intuition saying, stretch, look outside the box a little bit. And I took up an interest in some of the ancient teachings of Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching, the Buddha, and the whole practice of letting go of attachments and aversions and ignorance. And it fascinated me because what I found is that really what the Buddha was teaching and what Lao Tzu were teaching and what Jesus was teaching were all essentially synonymous. They were all the same thing. And it was about our experience with source energy, with God. And it wasn't about somebody who had that experience. It was about our own experience. And so I started to realize and appreciate that I have this direct experience with source, with God. And the more I get out of my own way, the more that life source flows through me. And the more I let go, the more I let flow, so to speak, which is a tool I use quite a bit and write about in one of my other books called Beyond Doubt. So it's been an evolution. And then I had the chance on my 50th birthday to go visit the Dalai Lama. And so I learned a lot about more about some of his teachings on letting go and the wisdom of emptiness. And, we have to let go to let flow. So it's all been an evolution for me. It's not like I planned it. It's just I keep my mind and my ears and my heart open, and I take advantage of the opportunities as they express themselves. That's what a Zentrepreneur does.
That's one of the points you made frequently in your book, that this is a learning path for all of us. We never stop learning. I'm curious. You have consulted for some of the top corporations in the world. I mean, big money-making conglomerates or money-losing conglomerates. How did you kind of insinuate these more spiritual concepts into the work that you were doing, and how was it accepted on the other end?
Another great question. I'm actually with one of the largest companies in the United States today, out in New Jersey, and the way I do it is I don't talk about it. I demonstrate it. So by pulling a group of people together for a week at a time to run what we call a Kaizen event, which is yes, it is the Zen in Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese word that essentially translates into good change, and a Kaizen event is a blitz. It's like put people in a room for 3 or 4 or 5 days and make good change very fast. So, when you accomplish that, people are wowed. It's like, geez, we got more done in a week than we typically do around here in 6 months or a year. And I hear that quote quite frequently. By the way, these are oftentimes people who are meeting each other for the first time on Monday and hugging each other on Thursday or Friday at the end of the week. They come in skeptical. They come in afraid. They come in unsure. I mean, seriously, are we really going to get this done? We've tried for so many years to make these kinds of changes, and we keep getting tripped up. And, it's a few people up against the system, so to speak. And we get miraculous changes done in a matter of days. And people are, like I said, they're blown away. They're really wowed. And the leadership team comes in, and they listen to these teams. And there's a very disciplined method that we take people through so that it's not pie in the sky. It's very practical, very realistic, and it's very powerful. Is it perfect? No, of course not. That's a moving target. The world continues to change and innovate, so even perfection today wouldn't be perfection a year from now. Who wants a perfect 8-track tape player anymore? They just don't exist. So we're always looking for positive change. That's what the spirit within each one of us is searching for, and we love it when we can express that in a forum where our ideas can not only be heard but acted upon. So that's what I do with Kaizen, and then people will come up to me and they'll say, "How do you?" One of the CEOs of a very large corporation recently said to me, "What like magic water do you have these people drinking? I don't know what's going on here." And so I will get questions like that, and I will respond to those questions then with some of the deeper techniques that I use to let go of fear and get fear out of the way and get doubt and limiting beliefs. Because we all run on programs, essentially. And if you hit the delete button and you get rid of some of these subconscious programs, these deeper habits that we all have that we don't even know we have, life just opens up. It unfolds in amazing ways. And so I demonstrate that, and then people ask about it. And then if the audience is right, I reveal it. But a lot of people aren't quite ready for it, and so I don't push it. I just, because pushing it would just result in pushback. And that's something very common that people do. We push and we get pushed back, so we push harder and we get more pushback, and we go through life pushing and dealing with resistance, and a lot of it's our own resistance to letting go. And so when we actually let go and pull rather than push, everything's different.
Well, those seem to be sort of the two pillars of businesses. One is effort, push, do, accomplish, power through. And the other is this climate of fear of, well, who gets to carry the can? Is it my fault? If something goes wrong, who can I blame?
That's all come. Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, how do you address these specifically?
Well, it's coming from insecurity, which comes from ego thinking. So, and a lot of people won't admit it. They'll pretend like they're not insecure, but it shows up in their behavior. You can tell immediately if somebody's insecure by their behavior. They have to take credit for things. They have to push. They have to resist. There's fear and doubt underneath that insecurity, and so the insecurity, by the way, doesn't reach anywhere because people can read it and they can feel it. So we have to let go of the insecurity, and the way we do that is by letting go. Number one of these subconscious habits that we have, where it's true teamwork. It's not about the individual on the team trying to win over everybody else or get credit. It's about the team being successful and reaching its mission where everybody shares in that. So it's what I call weopic thinking versus meopic. Meopic would be what's in it for me, and weopic is what's in it for the we, for the team. Mm-hmm. So what we find is that a creative problem-solving technique would be, for example, if we've got option A from somebody who's really pushing option A, and we've got option B from somebody else, and they're really pushing option B, and we've got this A versus B debate going on, I'll come in and say, let's explore options C and D. And they look at me like, what? And let's look for options C and D. We obviously don't agree on A and B, so let's not fight. Let's explore. And that gets people outside the box of A and B, A versus B, B versus A. Let's get outside of that box, put it aside, and let's come up with options C and D. And guess what we usually go with? Option E or F. They're not, the whole idea of getting creative takes us to options we never would have found before. And it gets us completely out of that A versus B, and it helps us get past these insecurities and these doubts and everything. And where people go, geez, that would be amazing if we could do option E or F. What's that gonna take? Well, let's figure that out. Let's propose it, and let's see what we can do to get it done. And it's fascinating for me to be able to come into different companies and cultures and countries and languages and groups of people and find this common pattern among all of us, which is we want to do good. We want to turn good ideas into good results or great results. We want to actually make positive change. A lot of people think that, we resist change, that people naturally resist change. Nothing could be further from the truth. We're all designed for change. We're supposed to change. We're supposed to grow. It's like the seasons. Try to stop the seasons. Try to stop grass from growing green. Try to stop an oak tree from growing tall. The true nature of Zen is that we're all here to grow, and we're all here to learn, and we're all here to expand and explore. That's the spirit within us. And the trouble is we get in our own way, or we get in each other's way, and all I really do is help get things out of people's way so that natural process can take its course.
Uh-huh. I love the process that you do with saying, what if, why, and why not? Can you expand on that?
Well, sure. Those are the first 3 chapters of the book, Zentrepreneur. So each chapter, as you know, is a very simple and elegant question that takes us to a profound learning, profound discovery. That's the wisdom in the book, if you will. And so, we start with what if. What if we try this new idea? What if we try option C or D or E or F? What if we write a book? What if we change this process? What if we eliminate this step? The what if opens us up. It opens up the mind to explore options and alternatives and creative solutions. Chapter 2, why, challenges us to explore all the reasons why we should do it. What value does it add? How is this going to make things any better? How is this going to be rewarding in more ways than one? The chapter 3, the why not, gives us a whole nother perspective on the very same idea. So I've got this what if idea. I can see all the reasons why I should do it. And a lot of times people stop right there. They try the idea, and then they run into all of these potential failure modes that they hadn't contemplated or considered ahead of time. So the question, why not, is, well, why not do it? Before you just become too biased toward this idea that you really want to do, stop and consider what could go wrong. Why not do it? What are the risks? And then come up with countermeasures to those risks. Because a lot of entrepreneurs fail. They have an idea and they try it and it doesn't work. And that's because they really haven't done the complete analysis. There's another chapter, in the book called Yeah, But. But, chapter is all about, we've all run into this, it's the resistance. I've got this idea and I think this is going to work and here's how I want to do it. somebody's bound to say, yeah, but, we've always done it this way, or yeah, but that won't work, and here's why, and yeah, but you're not old enough, or you're not young enough, or you're not smart enough, or something's, it's resistance. And so the yeah, but is a resistance. And smart entrepreneurs and Zentrepreneurs expect that. It's not like it's bad. We expect the yeah, but, because there might be some value in the yeah, but. Maybe it's something we didn't think about. So, each of the chapters, as you know, there's simple titles, but they stretch us. And I give examples of how I've applied these different questions throughout my lifetime to really not only explore, but then to turn the ideas into amazing results in some cases.
And I think it's important to point out that, yeah, you will fail, and it doesn't matter. How do you deal with failure?
Yeah, well, I don't believe in it. Number one, because it's a label that we give something, just like we label all kinds of stuff. And to me, failure is just not an option. Okay, so failure to me would be quitting. Failure to me would be giving up. Failure to me would be accepting a victim consciousness, like, I'm a loser, or I just can't do it. That's not part of my vocabulary. So, for example, if a baseball player steps up to the plate and strikes out and calls that failure, I don't see it that way, because the only way you can get a hit is by taking that risk and learning from the experience. So this would be like Thomas Edison when he was asked many years ago by a journalist how he could possibly continue his experiment after over 9,000 failures that didn't work when he was working on the light bulb. And his response was, I haven't failed yet. I've learned 9,000 ways that don't work. People laugh sometimes when they hear that, but that was his mindset. I haven't failed yet. I've learned 9,000 ways that don't work. So to me, we have outcomes that we don't like, okay? But I don't consider it failure. I've hurt myself physically, mentally, emotionally. I've lost a lot of money over the years in different ways. But I've rebounded. I've made it all back. I've rebounded from my injuries. I've rebounded from my losses. And the reason I've rebounded is because I didn't accept failure as an option, so to speak. To me, it was just a stepping stone, a learning opportunity. So I really think that that's a paradigm shift for a lot of people, because they don't think of undesirable effects that way. They start beating themselves up, and I should have done this, and I should have done that, and they're, as some people say, they're shooting on themselves. And I recommend that you not do that.
One of the tools that, or a couple of the tools that you use in your corporate settings are, one, brutal honesty. And I guess people are not always used to that. And the other is to challenge one's assumptions. I actually worked in a world not a million miles away from what you're doing. Have you ever heard of Ellie Goldratt?
Oh, sure. The goal. Yeah, Terrier from Train. Oh, sure. Jonah.
Yeah. I actually worked with him for 6 years, and I edited the first volume version of The Goal.
Okay. Cool.
And challenging one's basic assumptions, how it's always been done, is, I think, really critical to opening up your mind to allowing for other possibilities.
Well, to me, it's all about challenging your assumptions, because we so often confuse fact and assumption. We don't know the difference. So people are debating all the time. They're arguing over opinions when neither one of them has their facts straight. And the real challenge is that oftentimes the data can be very misleading. we can stand outside and look at the Earth and say, geez, it looks flat to me, from a whole different perspective, such as outer space. Well, it's round. It's not flat. From Earth, the data would seem, well, we're not moving at all. We're standing still. And from another perspective, it'd say, well, no, actually, you're moving through space at 68,000 miles an hour, spinning on that ball at 1,100 miles an hour. Don't you feel that? And so the data, the actual facts, can be so far from what we perceive to be true, we don't know the difference. So yet we go through life thinking we know it all, or thinking that we can figure it all out, or thinking that we can always be right, or thinking that we can actually control things. And the truth is, control is an illusion in many ways. And thinking we can figure it all out is like chasing ghosts. So that's all part of the resistant human nature. It's part of the ego thought system, that fear-based, dualistic, right, wrong, us, them, good, bad perspective. And to let go of that is truly divine. Because let go of that dualistic, heaven or hell, right, wrong, good, bad, judgmental perspective is strange to people. Like, well, no, of course there's good and there's bad. But great mystics have written this for years. Rumi once wrote, there's a field beyond right and wrong. I'll meet you there. I love that quote because it's contemplative. And the contemplative, the mystic, is one who actually looks at things from a very open, unbiased, seeking to understand perspective, not a critical, judgmental perspective. Yet, you turn on the television, you listen to the news, you listen to people debating and arguing day after day after day. And in just about every one of the cases, none of them have the actual facts. They've got data that seems to be factual, but it's not. They think they've got it all figured out. They think they know right from wrong, and they just simply don't. But it creates wars. My religion's better than your religion. I'm doing this in the name of God. And the people defending are doing it in the name of God. So what's really going on here? Mm-hmm. And that dualistic mindset is what strips peace and equanimity and Zen, if you will, away from all of us. It's a trap. So we have to learn to step back and open our minds, challenge assumptions, beginning with our very own and not everybody else's, because we're pretty good at challenging everybody else's, but not always our own. And when we do that, we learn to really open up and see the world in a very different light.
Indeed. And, of course, one of the core aspects of that separatist thinking is the zero-sum game approach, where if you win, I lose, and vice versa. So one of the things I see that you encourage is this win-win thinking. How do you find it most... what is the access point in the group that actually makes that blossom?
Well, the first thing we have to do is know the difference between positions and interests. This is a common negotiation strategy and technique. And, most of us have common interests. We seek health. We seek balance. We seek prosperity. We seek to be secure. And we seek to feel good. So we have common interests. The trick is we've got different positions on how to accomplish that. So I've got option A and you've got option B, and we go to battle over option A versus option B when we both have the same interest in mind in the long run. Mm-hmm. So, here we are battling over A and B, battling over positions and losing sight of our common interests. So this gets back to what I said earlier about let's explore options C, D, and E. And let's remember that we have some common things in mind. So getting back to true teamwork, what is it we can agree on in terms of our overall mission, our overall intentions, our interests? What do we really want to accomplish? Let's be clear about that. And then let's explore different pathways to accomplish it, because there's always more than one solution. There's always more than one option and pathway to get there. The problem is we get trapped into thinking that my way is the highway, my way is the best way, and then we start battling over these pathways. We forget, we lose sight that there are other ways to accomplish the objective. So the true innovator, the true fearless leader, the true Zentrepreneur recognizes that there are a number of different ways we can accomplish a win-win solution. First thing we have to do is identify what we have in common, what we all have an interest in, and then let's before we cast judgment and get too critical, let's suspend that disbelief, suspend that judgment, explore a multiple of solutions, and then let's see what we can do to find one that meets everyone's needs.
It seems to me that there's another element there that you actually also mention in your book, which is that people cannot do it all alone. And that would seem to involve an element of trust in the other person, that they have are aligned around the same goals. Would you say that's
absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the thing. If we don't trust other people, it's an indication we don't trust ourselves.
Uh-huh.
The world around us is just a big reflection of us. Okay, what we see in the world is what's going on internally inside each one of us. So if we see violence in the world, it's revealing violence within us. We're not the ones at peace. So we see a world not at peace. Everything we see outside is going on inside, and that's the hidden part that people don't realize. That's the subconscious, the beneath the consciousness stuff. So the world will never be at peace if we're not at peace. So we have to start with our own inner world. What's going on internally? Why don't I trust people? Okay, and why don't I trust myself? Because that's the deeper question. What am I afraid of? Why am I insecure? Why do I think I'm going to be taken advantage of? Because all I'm doing, if I believe that subconsciously, is projecting that out onto the world, and through the law of attraction, I'm attracting it back into my own evidence, my own life. So I'm always going to see what I'm looking for. I'm always going to experience what I feel internally. It's the law of attraction. So we got to start by looking at, what can I do to build more confidence and more trust within myself. And when I do that, I'm going to see more and more opportunities to trust people around me. And you'll see this with very confident athletes, for example. Very confident athletes trust their coaching. Their coaches. They trust their teammates. Okay, they build on one another. And it doesn't matter if you're an athlete, if you're a writer. I have to trust my editors. I have to trust the designers. I have to trust the publishers. I have to trust the distributors, the publicists, the marketers. There's a team around all of us, whether we realize it or not. And anybody who thinks they do it all on their own is just behaving with ignorance. They don't know what they don't know. Which is true of all of us. We don't know what we don't know. But we're part of a larger system and part of a larger, ecosystem, part of a larger community, no matter who we are, what we're doing, or where we are. So the more we can leverage ourselves within that community, attract help, attract support, attract good counsel, okay, the more we're going to empower ourselves. And I always say this to people, the wise, pay attention to the wise. Pay attention to who you pay attention to. Are you getting good advice? Are you getting good counsel? How do you know? Because in many cases, we're listening to people who are freely giving us advice that's lousy. They're not walking their own talk, but they're free to advise us on how to be at peace when they're potentially miserable themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, you gave many wonderful examples in the book of institutional change. Do you want to perhaps just tell the story of one Kaizen circle that will illustrate your approach?
Sure. I mean, gosh, I do Kaizens all the time. So there's, I've been doing it for many years, but I even call some of them miracle Kaizens, where there's just amazing things that have happened in a matter of days that people just couldn't imagine. But on a very practical level, I remember doing one. It was in Michigan, and on Monday at the first break, one of the team leads, one of the people I was training, we refer to these folks as black belts, not martial arts black belts, but in this case, Lean Six Sigma black belts, which is just a process improvement kind of toolkit. Came up to me and he said, "Geez, I think we have a problem, John." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Well, I overheard some of the people on the team talking about how they think our goal for Thursday is outrageous. It's crazy. They wonder what we're smoking. They think that this whole thing is ridiculous." And my response to him was, "Good." And he looked at me like, "What do you mean, good?" I said, "Well, when we actually deliver the goal on Thursday, that'll really blow their minds. That's culture change. That's empowerment. That's inspiration." So he was looking at it kind of from, we're in trouble. There's resistance. There's disbelief. There's skepticism. There's doubt. There's fear. There's insecurity. And I was looking at it from well, that's normal. What do you think a miracle is? It's shifting perceptions. It's shifting paradigms. It's waking people up to see things very differently and never forget it. So on Monday, we continued to proceed through our game plan, so to speak. And our objective was to take a 19-hour process and do it in 4 hours. And by the way, the 19-hour process had a variation around it, a range of 15 hours to 29 hours. So nobody ever knew how long it was going to take. It was so variable. Wow. And, so we said, we're going to do it in 4 hours. And we figured out a way to do it in 4 hours, but the team didn't understand that yet. They were looking at it through their own paradigm, their own box of 19 hours on average, thinking, what are they going to do? Put red capes and big S's on all of our chests and have us learn to fly like Superman? And, the answer was no, that's not what we're going to do at all. But we're going to teach you some best practices from other companies around the world. And it's going to be easier. This is the paradoxical nature of much of what I teach. We're going to work slower, but the process is going to move faster. We're going to do less, but we're going to accomplish more. We're going to work easier, but we're going to, get much greater results. So really challenging the paradigm that, it takes hard work to be successful. And no, it doesn't. It takes smart work to be successful. So the punchline of all of this is that on Thursday, some people could say we failed, although I don't like that word, as you know. But we did it in 4 hours and 20 minutes. So here's the clincher. The team now on Thursday was, and by the way, the executive vice president of this multi-billion-dollar company came out to actually witness this for himself. But the team was now kicking themselves at the end of this for doing it in 4 hours and 20 minutes when they knew they could do it in under 4 hours, and they knew exactly what they had to change to accomplish that. So they went from on Monday thinking it was absolutely impossible to on Thursday thinking not only was it possible, but they were absolutely certain they could do it. And incidentally, this was many years ago, and I went back to visit this company just a couple of years ago, and they've been sustaining it ever since. So it's a sustainable practice, a sustainable change. It's worth a considerable amount of money. The employees love it. It's a high impact on a positive impact on the customers and clients. So it's a typical Kaizen where there's a lot of skepticism and doubt early in the week, and at the end of the week, people are hugging each other, embracing each other, saying, "When's the next one going to be?"
So the shift was really from we can't do it to we can do it, from looking at the elements individually to looking at the system as a whole and getting into the flow. I remember from my work many years ago that usually we found at the core of blockages and bottlenecks some management decisions. We were able to trace the blockages to kind of edicts from on high, and you can actually kind of internalize it in your own life, that it's your own limiting beliefs that are causing the blockages in your own life. I just love the way it all fits together.
Well, yeah, exactly. People don't even realize they're going through life with the brakes on. It's their own limiting beliefs. It's true of all of us. Our own limiting beliefs, what we can and can't do, what we should and shouldn't do, that hold us back. So true empowerment is learning how to hit the delete button on some of these programs. They're subconscious, which means we don't even know they're there. They're beneath the conscious level, so to speak. They show up in our habits and our tendencies. That's how we identify them and reveal them. And then once we reveal them, we have to learn techniques, which I teach these techniques, some of these techniques. We have to hit the delete button. How do I it's like a computer. It's not going to run well if it's got full of viruses. So we've got a lot of mental viruses. So how do I hit the delete button, clear these out of my subconscious mind, so that I get the results that I want in life, and I'm not tripping all over myself.
John, do you have some tools that aspiring entrepreneurs can use to apply in their own lives, maybe turn on their own Zenergy?
Yeah, well, I do. I have a lot of different tools in the toolbox. The idea of the book Zentrepreneur is to start with, hey, what about some very simple questions? So questioning, the art of questioning, is a very powerful set of tools in your toolkit. So the book Zentrepreneur is designed as a tool to say, let's start with some fundamental questions like what if and why not, and who and how. And when we uncover then some of the things that are in the way, some of the yeah buts, what's next? So, business planning for one. Just questions around how am I going to market my business? How am I going to fund it? How am I going to resource it? Who is my client? What's value in the eyes of the client? What am I going to get paid for? And what are some clever ways to get that value delivered to the market in better, faster, lower cost methods? But a lot of the tools are not just about the business itself and the business planning process and the business execution process, but about the leadership itself. So where is the leadership likely to struggle? And this is where we get into these limiting beliefs. So there's tools like emotional freedom technique, meridian tapping, meditation type tools where we learn how to just clear our minds, clear our hearts, clear our chakras, so to speak, our energy centers, our channels, so that we just feel more confident and more present every day. That's very powerful. And there's those tools. There's just the other thing is this and I teach dozens and dozens of tools to these black belts and leadership team members, project leaders, and executives around the world. But the key is that it's really not about the tools. I use this metaphor a lot. If you've got a customer who's got a leaky faucet and you're a plumber and you show up to help your customer solve that problem, do you think they want to know how many tools you're going to use and what tools you're going to use and why that tool? In most cases, they don't. What they really want is just fix the leak, and they want it done quickly, and they want it done right the first time, and they want a fair price. And they'd like a user-friendly service. That's what really business boils down to. So you've got a market out there with leaks, meaning with opportunities, okay, with problems. So you've got a van full of tools, but the real magic in being successful as an entrepreneur is to know, well, what tool do I need to pull out of my truck, my toolkit, to fix the leak so that my client is excited and happy and pleased and thankful and is going to be an advocate for me and to go out and tell other people just how great it was doing business with me. That's the real secret to entrepreneurship, is to create customer advocates, customer promoters, people out promoting your business So I think that's very important. You know, I've run my business now for 25 years, and I've never had a salesperson.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's impressive. So,
well, again, the idea is to get the market, you know, talking very positively about you, so that you don't have to hire people to go out and do a lot of selling. I'm nothing against having, you know, great salespeople. It's just more about getting your customers to help with that process.
One of the, I think, your secret weapons really comes back down to the word Zenergy. It's the sort of energetic mindset, energetic field that you create around you. Can you expand upon that? Because it was just so compelling in your book.
Well, there's life force that animates all of us. It's like you can put whatever, you know, label on it you want, but you know, we're alive, and there's a force flowing through us, a chi energy, if you will, and so you can see it when you walk into a room full of people. Pay attention to it. You know, what's the feel in the room? Is it animated? Is it lively? Are people excited? Are they being creative? Are they being innovative? Or does it just feel dead? Does it feel dark, gray? And I do believe that some people light up the room, so to speak. May not be very visible, but certain people will want to come into the room, and it just seems to be a change in energy, a shift. And so that's what I refer to as the Zenergy. The Zenergy is a way to just channel life force into a team, into a room where people feel alive, they feel creative, they feel uninhibited and free to express themselves, to speak up, you know, and take a little bit of a risk. And it's in those environments that we really get creative. And we really find amazing ways to go forward. We find those options C, D, E, and F. And we get outside of the battles we might be fighting over option A versus option B. And by doing that, people feel great. They go home, they tell their spouses about this amazing experience they had that day. They start to see opportunities to apply some of this at home as well as at work. I hear this all the time from people. They show up in the morning and they say, I had a dream last night about this or that. And it's finding, you know, this energy is finding its way into their dreams. It's contagious. It's powerful. And it's, to me, again, it's our inspiration. It's our soul, calling out. It's giving us gratitude. Thank you for setting me free.
Beautiful. Where do people go to find out more about you, more about your book? Do you have a website?
Sure, yeah. Well, my business website is venturemanagementconsultants.com. That's venture as in nothing ventured, nothing gained. So, venturemanagementconsultants.com. There you can see all of the books that I've written on that website.
All 16 of them?
Yep. They can see, they can also go to johnjmurphy.net and find me there. You can also just Google my name. There's a lot of John Murphys in the world, but if you Google my name along with a word like leadership, teamwork, Zentrepreneur, I'll pop right up. And you can certainly Google Zentrepreneur, and it'll pop right up on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It's right there.
Very cool. Well,
one other website I'll share too, Miriam. There's a website called Let Go Now letgonow.info. It's a workshop I offer on some of these letting go techniques that we talked about. So the Let Go Now workshop you can visit that on letgonow.info. And
is that
another way to find me?
Is that for anybody or primarily for business people?
No. This is I just did one in Grand Rapids, Michigan, this past weekend. It's on a select basis. You know, it's if a corporation wanted to contract me to come in and I have a couple of people that I come in and do it with. We do that. And then we offer a few public sessions every year. Mm-hmm. So it's also on Facebook, Let Go Now Workshop on Facebook.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool. Well, our time has gone by very quickly. John Murphy, author of Zentrepreneur, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Miriam. I appreciate it.